My name's Jeff Albers. I farm here in Denton, Kansas with my wife Sarah and my son Dylan. I was raised on a farm, actually still on a family farm. We raise corn, soybeans, and we have a small cow-calf operation. I actually started farming back in 2000. This farm here was my grandpa started it, my uncle took it over, and then we've taken it over from my uncle. When I started farming, and we're dry land acres here on our farm, we were 150, 160 bushel the acre. Now we shoot for 200. Increase of technology with hybrids has made a huge difference.
My name is Matt Splitter. I'm a fifth generation family farm. My wife and I own and operate splitter farms in central Kansas, primarily in Rice and Ellsworth counties. We farm corn, soybeans, grain sorghum, and wheat. We have irrigated and dry land acres. 1892 is kind of where the history begins with the first generation. It's been in the family ever since, making Jan and I the fifth generation. Our average corn yield would be about 100 to 120 bushels per acre on dry land and 200 to 220 on irrigated.
My name is Derek Belton. I'm the Central Kansas Corn Commissioner for the state of Kansas. I am a fifth generation farmer here in northern Marion County. I farm here with my dad. We farm corn, wheat, and soybeans in a 100% no-till operation. We also have a cow-calf herd that we utilize. We graze in our pastures and also on some of our crops and covers. This farm has been in my family since 1870, about 155 years. My great-great-grandfather homesteaded here and purchased the land from the government in 1870. We don't have the ability to hold a lot of moisture in this part of the state, and we don't get a lot of rainfall in this part of the state. We grow corn shooting for about 100 to 120 bushel per acre.
Farmers typically will know when their corn is ready based upon multiple factors. One of them is just the relative maturity of the corn you planted. The farmers will know their plant dates, so you have a relative idea of when its mature date would happen as well. So when we're getting close to that end of August, 1st of September on an average year, we would start walking into the fields, feeling the sponginess, the moisture content of the stem of the plant, and then we'd be going to the cobs as well. We'd pull back the cobs, expose the ear, pull back all the foliage around the ear. We break the cob in half. We see how spongy or how much moisture retention is in the cob where the seed attaches. And then there's something called black layer. Black layer is when you pull a seed off of the cob at the very tip where the seed connects to the cob. If it's a perfectly still growing, healthy seed, that will still be kind of white, pink. Black layer is when you pick it off and there's a little black speck where that seed is attached to the cob. And if it's black layer, that means that no moisture is going in and out of that seed anymore. So that seed then has to naturally start drying itself down. Corn is unique where there's no moisture is gone back through the seed into the cob and leaves the plant through its root system. All the moisture has to leave itself from the outside. So warm, dry days, low humidities, days like today, as you can see, it's very bright and sunny. Right now, it's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The humidity is probably around 30 to 35%. The corn plant is currently losing its moisture up to 0.5% of moisture a day.
Corn is harvested at different moistures for different purposes or uses. Some corn will be harvested at high moisture, which is probably 28 to 32%. And a lot of times that's going to a feedlot and being ground and used for livestock feed. In order to ensure that we are delivering high quality corn, all of our corn on my farm goes to our local co-op. In my area, it has to be at least under 16. We're shooting for about 15.5%. And so that's why we try and wait as long as possible, especially this early in the year, to get the corn dried down and not have to have a drying fee or drying cost to go on that.
The dryer for us on our farm acts as what we would consider it kind of a third combine, where farmers who do not have a dryer, which in our area, there's not very many dryers in general, but they would have to wait until that moisture content is low enough for a commercial elevator to take their grain. Our dryer in our grain facility runs manless 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We periodically have to come check on it, but it should run seamlessly all the time. So we can harvest wet corn longer, later, and earlier in the season and dry it down and then put it in its home.
First machine where our harvest starts would be our combine. We got the corn head on the front of the combine, so the stalks will go, you drive along, the stalks or rows of corn will go in between there, and you can see there is rolls, and the rolls grab the stalk and pull the stalk down. When the stalk goes down, the ear hits against the deck plate and pops that ear off. So you're not taking in, most of the time, the whole stalk of corn. You're just taking in the ear of corn. These are the gathering chains, and then those take the ears up. The auger take it over and then into the combine. It goes up, and most of them now are called rotors. So it's like a corkscrew almost, and the corn gets in it, and on the outside there's a screen with holes in it. So as it goes around, the friction makes the corn come off the cob, and the corn goes through the concave, goes down on the sieve, and then with air, it's blowing. So it blows the trash out of the back, shucks, the corn stalks, the cobs that we don't want for our final product. Good corn goes to the bottom of a combine, over and then up in our grain tank. Once the corn's in our grain tank, then usually we have our tractor and grain cart comes along, and then we'll dump onto the grain cart, and then that will take it to the semis or trucks.
And then for like my local operation, that truck takes the grain to a local co-op, a local elevator, where it's stored there until it's probably either used for livestock feed or ethanol. The corn harvested here in Kansas, a third of that is exported, a third of that is used here for livestock feed, and the other third is used for ethanol production here in the state of Kansas.
Our real economy is really driven by corn because everything is so intertwined. Our livestock producers need corn for their feed. We need the corn for ethanol production, which in turn provides numerous jobs in our area and keeps our communities thriving. So when the farm economy is thriving, our rural economy is thriving, because then our rural economy is growing. When our farm economy is strong, people always say that farmers like to put the money right back into the economy.